Nano payable Quintana COVID-19 on my gun and more cases for Rebecca Honom. I had any do watch 418. Ama ye confirmed cases no a picture echo 78,689. Send pay emu 70,348 dear. Nyamia who mobo or free area no more fee. Nanso Yenuanum 568. Yare no omo eni ne ye. Yare na di omo sunkunimti e de omo ko. Mene wo kasa ye yi enipa omo kwa asopiti. Ya so omo nipadua na hwe. Aya COVID-19 test omo ye positive a. Yare ne da so omo widiem no omo ne yare ne di apere no. Eye 7,773. We eye Ghana ye active cases. New ones and new cases no 700 690 700 no nyamiadum 418 eche say me no mienu ye yire ho kakra bi ka ho a enye say yentimi nyu ye betimi aye we di adanse say ye boy ho so kakra bi ka ho a ye be piapia no akwa akire kakra enni da bi otofo ye obusuefo ye be free ye so akwa ne ade ye ho enu nti ewie me guso sra wo say ahweye hu hia empaibo eyonyame adru nanso empaibo anwuma nka ho no ejibi hunu enya adwuma eno nti ye bo mpaye na de Nyankopon de ya adwene ma ye se ye mfanye se ye de be dwen ye de be fa plans na ye de be implement no besrawo na wa ye ne sade aka ho e basa ye be de yare ne sunkunim ntem kra fi se ye ka sei Amansaimu 110,951,913. And a pay me boon contano na a 110,800 and something thousand. And so a day more don't should be say a do echo a do nine and temno. Any pabaya say 100,000 as any I really be a count. A just say, and course, ahweyi na ne hia yare yamansema komnipa 2,454,722 omo ma free mo afi 85,885,273 me no ka say yenuanum bi omo wo yare ne de so yare ne omo pre gidigidi eno ntobroni so omo de ne critical condition na critical situation Enipa 95,446 and was at to be in. Amania menu with the home come we best made the 70 update and a media mount. And when Tabacos was just saying, ye home. Near crank, come one or tough one and contem. Nose mask and wire dear, national. Say so be a crabby. Nanado Darcy, Wabusia for Darcy. Yen I Darcy, set utie. Na wahye ana wato nose mask ni bi ne hye no na aka ye kakra wa be ka se ne hye nye ya na ye trofo empo adokotafo a mo na eka mo adwuma ho mpo omudi adanse se ne hye nye bete enso kremo daki na ose abasa ohwe se wo hye na wo be yi a fani so obia oben obia ye suspect wo na wo ni bi enti obia woni na hye bia wato bia gu o mask nanem ne senti na wo be yi a wo sa sanitize wonsa ansa no weyi sa na boa ne bi metna wonsa no ho mfa ne ho ni o oba alcohol na wonsa ho no sanitizer na ebeku no wo yi wi a bobo fato dustbin mu kata so na sa hohoro wonsa no deku Fensio ne semina eba se be boye pa wo yi nose mask ne na onu nsuo wo didi wo wi asan hye bio no a ba chew e ho no na ye sei aba be ya dwendwen kese o wo yi a ba bia de beto no butu no ba bia kire wanim no mane enko enhwe FM na mum baby ade beto hwese ho ye neat aboa ne ye hu no ene wo ne te se bia kakapeni ana efi se ye da ho hu no eti se obeka sa ha ye neat ana ha nye neat no enye substance da ho ado eni be hunu na eka na mum se wanka sa wo be sanitize ho wo be krakra ho be siesi ho ansa na do mask na to ho ofa wetimi afa na kokodro mabo ye mane so ye no amonkasa na no hwese ba ko waboaboa bebre ano enam se wo edi ayeye ebi mu yi nose mask na wosom de to ball mu na ye ma no no de ahye ni school bag mu asem na yire eti abatan ye dwuma ne so ye nyire ye ho ewade nya ye boafo seti biara ye bedi so nkunim medasi o mu ne ba nana ya Konadu ya ba panam no wedi ehye free sabre ko si se bebo no nan a mesori amakela boboni odi anka kwam ye boa e de kwan so brebredwumadi aba mamenda ekuaje wa akode ase ono ne be eden kai bo ba ye ansa na no na DJ Young Boy ono so so ahuye dwom kasebo na chi odi ba no wokwa odi ebeja kasebo fo no bi on bidin nana ya Konadu ena so beto look an common so look at health na what you chem na ya me ka brofo ena so still wo de broni na abra me se ye nka brofo eti ye ba be ka brofo ye ba be din komo bi ya fa kidney stones eho ye ni look at doctor fo ne ba ko ena e ba be din komo Dr. George Haramis Dr. George Haramis ono ne ni be di enkomo yi enchakra eno achi ye ni di kidney stones enkomo ni wi an ye ne ayisa Dr. Emmanuel Mpom dako ebedi cholesterol ehun komo bedasi ena mi chochoro mucho lawyer Geneva Kotei na de ana dodo no afre no odobroni me mautin kwamwa udapa yankopon onhiraw na onyu akoma so ade ma APC ye friki na farm o yaw de yo stubborn pa be yi na fi ho ye was this way chocolate drink wonya nso hia woni hawo enwakua Roma ene yatena sia ye de nne Mpom te se dwumadi ba ye do mo asia ba be ba sesia
said you obetimi a shake na farmer APC nso nti ene wa ye ne sa akoma
uti paiwa fraki na farmer akoma APC
kaka hawa
akoma APC sisiare wa posunu no Mpem na ye oya fever ana wonam ya emu bia kina farmer akoma APC ebe ye firi ho nemum na anu achi na enkoi dia ko hu doctor kina farmer akoma APC eyema obia ya wadi emfiedunsia 16 years dekro
hey catch list ni nie enyoma betoto dia me baba no ho ade no hwem so betumi a asew na obeka ya jontuma miensa duku portmanteau this way chocolate drink na kan wo hwe afibia so beri ni waware ne this way chocolate drink na kan sia asew udan kawanu ntumu ho me be mo anu nso hye kura dia ka ho uhade e wapi ho ukasa batete eda fom ho
this way chocolate drink
kra cha be pe baba ware
asew
ye fi say this way chocolate drink ya sorry anopa no ne yenom ye bi hye fridge nom no se snack ye nya hoho a no ne de serve wo mo ye didi wie ne ye pe bibia bogu ya de so a this way chocolate drink ne yenom and this way no ti ano a he se kire wom kokko wom brick wom bibia wom ade wo hia ne so hye
this way chocolate drink
de wo hia ani so hye
FDA ahwehwe se adwede nkratoe mu agye atum se eye ankla so ase nyame otie mpaibo bete ye mpaibo mbeka sa na no local health for ma me ka brofo na so wa ma bra mi broni na no bra mi broni be na de broni be ma no de na bra me na Dr. George Haramis owaha wo ye urologist wo mo ye adokotafo no a okay ono aba be kire de obi oye urologist wo ye mu de a kire but wo mo hwe ye bibia e fa adwunso twa ensem ene ye nsa abon kita hodie saa na membetimi abɔ ne boa de a kire ma kire na said ye din kan bɔ mo amane yes local health ho no a medical specialty center apomudi adwasu ahodo bebre no makopa hu nimdifo eti enye GP asem say general practitioner a oba behwe no wa refer wo do akoba bia asem bia eho de specialist no mo wo apomudi adwasu ahodo anase apomudi akwa ahodo no ayehia mu no o mabo mu nyina no wo local health ho na womo eboa omanfo apomuden na local health yi omo won kra he ya ye East Legon he ye enomo wo ena wie Dr. George ewa ha say oye urologist nti ye be se ni di nkomo kakra fa kidney stones ehun kidney stones ehun ye pese ye ni di nkomo kakra na omema ye ni animu ne sade obi ko local health ho a ombetimi aboa no afa. Dog, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. First time meeting you, but you've been here before.
Yes, I've been here twice actually.
But in the morning.
Yes, in the morning. This is my first time in the afternoon.
In the afternoon. Okay, welcome.
Thank you so much.
All right. I'm told you are a urologist.
Right.
I tried explaining what a urologist does a bit to my listeners, but I'm not a professional, so I can't get it very right. So if you can help me.
Okay, sure. A urologist is a specialist that is dealing with diseases of the urinary system. And when I say urinary system, I mean diseases of the kidney, of the ureter, the urinary bladder. And especially for the men, we're treating diseases that concerning the reproductive system of man, which is the penis, the testes, and of course the prostate.
So for the men, the penis,
right,
the testes,
and the
prostate. That's what a urologist focused.
Exactly.
Okay. We want to talk about kidney stones. And per your explanation, your work starts from probably the kidney functions through to where we discharge through.
You're right. The diseases related with the stone formation in the kidney are very, very, very common.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking about 8 to 10% of the general population, and it covers all ages from children up to elder people. But the peak age of presentation of this disease is usually between the age of 30 and 40. And considering the fact that Ghana has a young population, I think it's a very, very common disease to have a stone. So it's a very, very common.
Why that age, 30 to 40? They are their peak. So why will they suffer this kidney stone?
This is just an epidemiology statistic, because as I said before, we can have it even in children and even in older people. But considering the fact that some of those stones take quite some time, a few years, to manifest themselves, so it's usually more common during this age group. And also the fact that this is a very active group, and the more active we are, also the stone can move as well. So this particular group is the most common one.
So now what is the kidney stone? If we talk of kidney stone, what is it?
A kidney stone is formed by certain crystals, like, for example, calcium or sodium crystals, which means these are parts of our metabolic system. So the way the kidney is filtering all the waste products of our body, some of those crystals can precipitate and fuse to one another, these crystals, and over time they can create a stone. So it's very much related with our metabolism and our lifestyle habits.
Okay, so crystals come together and then they can move within certain parts of the body.
In the beginning, they fuse to one another. They are very small in the beginning, like sand. You can imagine how sand is.
Good.
But if they find a place where they're not moving so much and they can precipitate, every crystal sits on top of the other one, and slowly it can make a stone that can be from a few millimeters up to several centimeters. So the bigger, of course, the stone, the more complicated it's going to be the way we're going to treat it. Huh?
What really caused this condition?
This is a variety of factors. There's not only one factor. The first one and most important one is our state of hydration. I mean, people who don't like to drink so much water are more prone to develop stones, and this is very obvious why, because the urine is very concentrated in these materials that I mentioned before, and so it's easier for them to create the stones. But at the same time, I have to mention that the diet habits are very, very important. People, for example, who eat a lot of meat, they are prone to make stones, or those who use too much of salt into their diet, they make more and more stones. Obesity, in general, we know that people that are obese, they tend to pass to their urine more calcium and more uric acid and minerals like that can make stones. And finally, it's very important, the familial predisposition. Most of these patients, if you ask them, they will tell you that they have at least one or two first-degree relatives into their families, and which means that there is always a genetic predisposition to the formation of the stones.
Okay. You mentioned the year group between 30 and 40. That is where many people report such cases in Ghana.
Right.
But we know this year bracket is the active age group. Why will it affect these active people who have a lot of time to exercise? They are active in so many ways. Why will these stones stay or gather and then cause harm?
The problem is that the majority of the people that they don't know, they're not aware of having a stone, unless this stone is really moved from its original position from the kidney into the tube that is transporting the urine, the so-called ureter. From the moment this event happens, so immediately the patient will experience a very severe acute pain. And it is amazing that you see a patient that 10 minutes ago it was completely normal, and within 10 minutes he's complaining of a very acute stabbing pain. And this is the time most of the people, they realize the existence of a stone. And it's a really intense moment. Sometimes they cannot find any kind of comfort unless they visit a healthcare facility, because at this stage they definitely need some analgesic treatment. And usually this is the first time they realize what is going on, and it is a really debilitating pain. And from the literature we know, they describe it that this is as intense, this pain, as the pain of a labor. It is that intense. So unless the patient is can reach a healthcare facility to get some help, it's a really, really intense and painful situation.
From your explanation, that means the stones are gathered within the kidney.
Right.
And until it's tried to descend through the urethra, you won't maybe see any sign or symptom.
Usually when the stones remain inside the kidney, we have no symptoms. The symptoms start from the moment that these stones obstruct the passage of the urine from the kidney down. And that is the problem also with the patients, the so-called stone former patients, that they make big stones in the kidney, because they don't have symptoms, but at the same time, the damage that they can cause to their kidneys, the formation of those stones is much bigger than a small stone that is moving to the ureter and gives immediately the symptoms, and we have the chance to treat it. So just to give you an idea, we can divide the stones into two types: the small stones that can, as you said, can move from the kidney down to the ureter, and some other big ones that cannot move because of their big size, that they stay inside the kidney. And if they stay there for quite some time, they can compromise renal function.
So what are some of the damages, apart from compromising the urine functions? What are some of the damages that the stones, which is in or placed in the kidney?
Okay, the most important complication they can cause is that they can cause a very severe infection. Okay. Usually it's a severe infection with fever and pain in the back. And when we say high fever, it's a high fever, spiking fever with chills, even 40, 41 degrees. And that definitely needs a medical intervention at this stage, because at that time it's very important to find a way to drain the urine from this particular site, because the more they stay there, the infection can get very serious, and it can even lead to a condition called sepsis, which can cause multi-organ failure. So we can understand that the first thing that we always have in mind as urologists is we try to avoid a possible infection. The second thing that we can encounter in those patients is all of a sudden they can start seeing blood in their urine. It can cause a lot of bleeding sometimes, and the people get panicked because they don't know where this is coming from. And also, as I said before, even without any symptoms, the presence of the stones inside the kidney, they can slowly compromise the renal function. And when we do blood tests to check the renal function, we realize that they're really high, because this kidney is not able to perform as it's supposed to be because of the presence of those stones there.
So when it decides to descend through the urethra and it blocks the urethra that the urine can't pass through easily, is that the moment you put on catheter to aid the person in urinating, or there are other things that you can do to help the person?
It depends. First of all, it depends on the size of the stone. Usually small stones, we don't need to make a direct intervention. Usually when we provide them with some analgesic medication, the patients find relief. And just to give you an idea, a small stone, for example, a stone of the size of 5 millimeters, we know very well that with medical treatment, it can pass spontaneously without any intervention from our side. So it's very important to identify the stone and the location of the stone, because this is what drives our intervention. Because as I said, a small stone, we just give some medication, analgesic medication, and some medication that help the ureter to push out the stone on its own. So with just regular follow-up, the patient can pass the stone without a medical intervention. On the other hand, when we have a bigger stone, and when I say bigger stone, we're talking about stones bigger than 6 millimeters all of the time, 7, 8 millimeters, or even bigger ones. In this case, you're right, it's very difficult, this stone to pass by itself. And also the discomfort is continuous. The pain is all of the time, so the patient itself needs for some kind of relief. In this case, yes, we can even pass a special catheter inside the ureter, so we make sure that there is adequate drainage of the urine. But at the same time, we are also able to reach the stone, and we can even fragment the stones. We can break the stone with the help of a laser fiber. The laser is very strong, and no matter how hard the stone is, we can definitely break it and give a permanent solution to the patient.
Does it affect men and women equally?
Actually, traditionally, we know from the literature that men are affected more than women.
Okay.
And the ratio between men and women was a ratio between 3-1. But over the last few years, the last decade, we found out that now women tend to do more stones than men. So this ratio became very close. So the ratio between men and women right now is 1.7-1. So it's more or less the same. The reason is because the woman, compared to men, they tend to do a lot of urinary tract infections, and they create a special type of stone called infective stones. And because of that, the number of cases have increased. So we might say that more or less it's now on the same level, the number of cases we meet.
What are the possible treatment options at Luca?
Well, first of all, we'll have a patient that comes with a history of stones. The first thing we have to do is to take a very thorough medical history. We have to realize if there are other conditions that are responsible for that. And after taking a very nice medical history, complete medical history, then we have to go through an imaging testing. So usually what we do, we ask for a CT scan, because with a CT scan we can check the whole urinary tract from the kidney, the ureter, up to the bladder. And in case that we really need to make a surgical intervention, we're very lucky because we have a very our equipment is it's a state-of-the-art equipment. We have some very, very tiny scopes, digital scopes called ureteroscopes. There are only a few millimeters in diameter. So without making any incision or doing any open procedure, we can go through the natural way. We can reach from the bladder inside the ureter every part of the urinary tract, and we can break up the stone with a laser fiber. And this is now a procedure that doesn't require hospital stay anymore. Usually, if we decide that we need this procedure, the patient usually comes in the morning. We can do the procedure the same day. Patient can return back home. Next day, he can go back to his regular activities. So it's definitely something that can be treated easily, and we can provide this kind of solution at Luca Health.
And you said the surgery, you have minor surgeries for this.
Exactly. It's so-called minimal invasive surgery. Minimal invasive surgery is a surgery that doesn't follow the rules of the traditional open surgery.
Okay.
So in particular for my specialty as a urologist, I basically do everything through the natural orifices, through the natural anatomy of every patient. And that is very important because it speeds up the recovery of the patient, and it minimizes also the complications as well, because when you do an open procedure and have a big incision, you are always prone to infection, and it's more difficult to ambulate the patient. But doing all this procedure through the natural orifice, it's always easier, and the recovery is fast. Usually the patients within 24 hours they can return back to their work and the normal activity.
When does patients see you? Every day walk in, or you have special days for?
No, first of all the doctors at Luca Health, we have permanent positions there, so we're every day there, Monday to Friday. We're always there from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. So usually, especially during these times that we have the COVID time, we always prefer to see our patients after appointments. But of course, if a patient comes like a walk-in and we have a gap in our schedule, of course we will try to accommodate him and see him. And usually we see them though with appointments, because we try to be very, very cautious now with the COVID times. And every patient that comes to see us, it will go through a process. We always take the temperature, and we always try to sanitize, and we always take a very, very detailed history, because many, many times we find patients that are not aware that they are sick, and we found out in the end that they do have the COVID. So we always try to follow our protocol before we see our patients.
Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I was for Dr. George Haramis, where a urologist. A doctor for na yesa bo be si adwonso twa no mu kosi sa adwonso be pie. Omo ye hu adwuma no. If you look at Health Medical Speciality Center, Omo East Legon 27 Mazuru Road. Omo ben bebia Lancet e wona o de cancer Lancet hono a. Wetimi afrese nkomo ayedi ye hwe adwonso twa no ene mu nsen kan ye emema titiri ne ha o memanso e wo chefa abo no aya na ebegyina sebe eme ye hihye nkrofo roba no ene wa kire se insane mbesi mpo ebe hye roba ho ha no wan hwe ya na ye kese e de amawda ache eti hia se obehwe ho asmaka e ba se surgery nya de aye pai wo kese te se normal surgery na ne enim no omo okwan mo fa so mo di laser abefo kwan no e boni tokro ketu abi yi o ha no fi ho ma ho omo kira kwan na me de ma wo se omo Lancet East Legon, Lagos Avenue, Hoyeye. Obetimi afre 0544 12 07 77 0544 12 07 77. Na nkomo bia e fade kan ye ene ne etetete sa wate se look afo ye na wo ho asem no. Now no more edi enkomo no. Yeda no ase so ba yi. Minia Helena Educhumwa Unia Ewie memwa hao de rade pena oye na napede nam ne kwanso enti challenge bia wa brabo mu ene papa bia wa brabo mu no erade amma kwan a emma enti anje Educhumwa Unia memwa ha de metimi ne waka no erade enka ho mambia makwafo ne inspector obia busua nyina so yakosoma mo hyedin yemamu yako abuzafo ye ne Dr. George Haramis idin me nchia ne da me first time ka se bete me ne na wie enkomo edin kan enkomo etosum yenu ne ye hwesrade eno na de ba ko na be kan kidney stones de ne ye kan brofo when ye ba be kan chimu na medical herbalist and a herbal doctor Emmanuel Mpom dako ena ewie ya so na frɛ yi saa ne kwa wari yie enso so yakwa do afrɛ wo ene ya twe ne frɛ yi saa so mmra emeboa ye ne mesua srade ho ade kakra na ye hu ye te cholesterol ne ye ma hye nche se cholesterol de na je se yare e ba so de yare bia begina ho eye saa ne te ananso etisen pote nkoma ye to aso eni oni official pa o
afin kombeto yen
na adwuma mu te sei
nyame adom yegusu kakra
abusiafo nyina ho ye
obia ho ye bo ade adaroma
ye de radiase abusiafo nti Dr. Emmanuel Mpom dako ene na watie yi ye ba bedin komode afa cholesterol ho na medin kan ka se ye te cholesterol pe na eja ya yem hyehye wonso so de nsa na ti ana e wo se ye ti ayem hyeyen ananso edien na ye ti a e wo se ye de wo se hu fa cholesterol ho de papa ne bone ni sinsanso ene mfaso bibia wo bete ne ye wo don hwere ba kwa didi nkomo nti men stretch APC African na farm o ya de stubborn kra no be yi na fi ho ama wo APC ano odin etimi o ya wo pa eti bomodin na wo ye mu apebi no this way chocolate drinking so kokos so faso a wo hia ni nyina e de be ma bibia wo mdada de o hia eni so hie enwekwara roma e na ye de enkomo yi eba dok ma me sha se prekopese cholesterol ye tepe ni ye mu ahye o cholesterol was soro dipa ne jibum wo se ne afede ye betuam bibia bi me menya didi na ya adwendwen na ya nsempi cholesterol na nkasa no wone de
yo na edase se oba me kwan na nka machia etiefo kakra nka be
wadaroma afi kra so kra mento nka afidie so nti wo de afisha pa na twam kra afa momo
sa yo mechia minuanom a omutie pisefem nyina ema omunyina nso afisha pa na ni ameka ne se yenne ya ho nti sena omampanyinfo eka efa COVID-19 ho no yenyina yemwa na yentu aseta na Ghana yensan ende ho medamu nyina ase yo na oka bibi efa cholesterol yeka cholesterol meka se aboa bia ewo cholesterol anase ewo emoa mu yediba yenipemu na yeka se obi wo cholesterol na anka yeka se onya kono high cholesterol na yeka ho asem esane se onipa bia ewo cholesterol na mpempenso ewo nipanimu no ene beka se asemesi ana obenten ewo cholesterol na cholesterol ankasa ɛyɛ sradesu bi a ɛwɔ nipa mu a ɔbɔ adeɛ ɛde edua nipa ni mu a anka ɛyɛ ma nipa no ɛnso ebedu mpɛmpɛnso bi a na ababedi nipa no so enya ɛno nti ɛna yɛka sɛ obi wɔ cholesterol na obi yɛ mahye no ɛsane sɛ na yɛka sɛ ne cholesterol ɛwɔ ni mu no ɛboro nea ɔbɔ adeɛ no ɛhwehwɛ sɛ anka ebetimi aboa nipa no nti yɛka sɛ wɔ cholesterol na ɔwɔ nea ebedi nipa no enya nti na ma ne yam ayɛ den ahye no
deɛ ayam hyehyɛ ne banani
saa
enti cholesterol no ne papa ne sen na ne bɔne uwie a ne aba ne bɔne
yo nana medikan kan sɛ cholesterol ne deɛ nanka nyame bɔ yɛn no ɔbɔ abɔdeɛ bi wɔ yɛn mu sɛ abere ne abere nyinaa no ɔbɛyɛ cholesterol no ama yɛn na aboa nipadua no ne papa no no ɛno nti ɔbɔ abɔdeɛ bi wɔ yɛn mu a yɛfrɛ no liver a dwuma edi ne sɛ ɛbɛyi cholesterol na ɛde abɔ nipadua no ho ban ɛyi cholesterol na ne papa mu no na nka cholesterol no dwuma a ɛsɛ edi ne sɛ ɛbɛboa yɛn na ama yɛnya hu mmɛmɛsu a ɛwɔ mmɛmɛ mu na yɛhu mmaasu a ɛwɔ mmaa nso mu ɛno akyi nso asan aboa yɛn na ɛne owia ɛne yɛn skin cells no ɛnya nkitahudi bi na ɛtumi ɛproduce vitamin bi a yɛfrɛ no vitamin D na ɛno nso acontrol yɛn calcium ɛne phosphate a anka ɛwɔ nipadua no mu no na nipa ɛtumi asipi asita ɛno akyi apart from sɛ ɛbɛboa na ama yehu ɔbaa ne mu ɔbaa ne yehu ɔbɛma mu ɔbɛma no na san ama nipa asipi no ɛsan ɛbɔ nipadua no nyinaa nso cells no ɛho ban because yɛnya ne nte sɛ anaasɛ yɛnim sɛ yɛ nipadua yi is made up ɛyɛ cells nkoa ahodoɔ bebree ɛna ɛma yɛ nipadua na saa cells no nkwammoa no anaa nkwammoa meka no ɛno ɛna saa cholesterol yi ɛbɔ yɛ ho ban
enti 1 cholesterol no ɛboa wo ba yɛ anaa wo bɛma yɛ
saa
ɛna wo cells ne bambɔ no cholesterol ne di mu akotene
saa
cells ni hɔ nipadua no tissue ni ɛne aba benya organ yes
saa ne tie
enti na kyerɛ sɛ cholesterol ya yɛsuro ni ɛnka ne so wɔmfa so
anka ne so wɔmfa so papa wɔn sɛ mede kan sɛ ɛma yɛsi yɛma ɔbaa tumi yɛ ɔbaa ɛna ɔbɛma nso tumi yɛ ɔbɛma wɔn sɛ neɛ nti a meka saa ne sɛ yɛ ɔbaa ne ɔbɛma yɛ nsonson yɛ da yɛ mu ara ne yɛ reproductive organs no so wate aseɛ nti ɔbaa biara nso deɛ nanka bosome biara no ɛsɛ wodu mpɛmpɛn so a bosome biara no ɛsɛ wokyima agye sɛ wokɔdu wonyia kɔdu baabi a ɛna no nso ɛbɛtwa mu hɔ na ɛno akyi no ɛno ntwa mu sɛ wonyɛ ɔbaa woyɛ ɔbaa na cholesterol no ɛboa na yɛproduce estrogen ɛno yɛ mmaa no deɛ no ɛna mmarima no nso na aboa yɛn na yɛtumi produce yɛn testosterone ɛno nso yɛ mmarima deɛ no na ama mmarima yɛtumi asita na yɛtumi awo na ɔbaa nso watumi hormones no atumi abalance na nso watumi afa yɛfo mu
na kyerɛ sɛ cholesterol ne nim koraa na wotɔ sini wɔ nneɛma pii mu
saa
wobaa yɛ koraa wotumi tɔ sini wɔ mu
saa ne tie
wobɛɛma yɛ wotumi tɔ sini wɔ mu
saa ne tie
sɛ yɛde reproductive health ɛto nkyɛn a cholesterol ɛne te sɛ yɛn nipadua ahoɔden a yɛ producing whether vitamins anaasɛ deɛ ka ho sɛ yɛn nompe sɛ yɛka cholesterol ne pa yɛana mpɛmpii no yɛhwɛ wedeɛ no mu no ɛnam no ɛhɔ ne yɛane yɛadwene si sɛ hɔ na sradeɛ tetare sɛ blade twa sɛ sie yɛ a wohu ɛnam eti ɛhɔ ana saa cholesterol yi etena anaso nipadua na kwa ne bia mu no cholesterol ni bi e branch ko ho
on say medical can say cholesterol no nanka ni papa mu no say ebe protect yen cells no so atiase na liver no eye cholesterol na baby a etna no ewo yen arteries mu eno nti arteries no ena moja efa cholesterol no na ede akọ various anase cells ahodo a aka no na efa cholesterol ya na ede akọ na adwuma ise edi no edi se me kan se cholesterol no eboa ema yetimi yen dompemu etimi eyedin anase eboa ema ye produce vitamin D na a control yen calcium ene yen offense yen phosphate sa calcium ene phosphate ano na eboa yen ema yen dompe anase yen se eye enya ahoden a ese enya na obelake sa cholesterol ya ebetimi ama wo atosin ewo baby efra yare bi se osteomalacia and a lack of vitamin D so what you say mo say me can say cholesterol so na help eboa mayetimi process vitamin D no nti say wanya cholesterol na mbeboa on process vitamin D ya but almost no you lack of offense in vitamin D na wa benya weak bones and yeah sa yare osteomalacia no weak bones affect mpanyin na oba nkola mu nso a na eno nso ye friend ricket bones akola bi waye mre ne do mpanyina aye mre ono nso na wanya enough calcium anase when calcium not regulate amtimi amananfo mu na eno nso manasa yare no
vitamin D ya covid ibremu ye pia bonten anopa kokotena wiam agye no ene cholesterol wa yonkofa
ai on say cholesterol baby a protect your pa no protect your lungs so what you say
yen ahrawa
no and protect yen brain
okay
assign protect your nervous system so what you say inti assign protect your nervous system inti say all lungs and yet well protected na COVID attack wa definitely o be affected and I feel so enya your lungs nko an protect you a sign protect your immune system cholesterol no say o study akwachi a it say cholesterol protect your immune system so what you say na your nya ntin so say answer na COVID betimi edi unya pa no agi say immune system fm nti immune system we fama definitely betimi nya COVID nti say wo cholesterol no certain percentage na ebo o lungs ho ban na ebo o immune system so ho ban a meji di say obesipi no sita na COVID ne ba nkwamwa no akon atia na onso nya ho afedi
enti cholesterol onye bad sao
enye bad sana
what can you good no ne bad no ama ye bohu no e na medru sisi
okay ana cholesterol ya akwakoye se ija no or ye good but sometimes no have a bad master on say nyame ye no or ye say liver and produce cholesterol which is the good cholesterol on say na ya sitrem so ababe ama ya benya cholesterol bi aka ho nti sise no ye wo good and the bad cholesterol you can good cholesterol and on a high density cholesterol and I say high density lipoprotein and now bad cholesterol so I know your friend low density lipoprotein and I say low density cholesterol now low density cholesterol no and na bad and a di nya no pa na no most of the time no aya na ye tanya ewo enuane a yedi emu say saturated fats and I say trans fats enum pa na yenya saa offense cholesterol yi de efi meka saturated fat ya na meka factor yenya wo eye mujanam meka se medical kan se cholesterol de ewa abo bie mu de mujanam se nantwinam aponchinam enomo de saturated fat cholesterol na edi yenya no edoso do ewo saa enam ni mu eno achi no ne aba group B from trans fat and also sena yesifa ye nuane efa bi se donut ye fred duane bi se sweet bad se ye kura so de bi o minim se aha bi o ha
e bi o ha se pa me ayi me kura ni ba kwa ta na na chibre mi sweet bad e dabone
and also cholesterol sena ye cholesterol e wo ekita trans fat
okay
and bi se donut cake popcorn amonyina increase ema good cholesterol den ekosro so what you say nti ebasa na ediyenya unse ni ema
bad cholesterol na ekosro na
ema bad cholesterol den ekosro ebasa na ediyenya unse ne ma bad cholesterol ediyenya ne se bad cholesterol ebedoso ewo ye mogya ni mu a me kan se arteries no emu na cholesterol etra yewo intin ekita nipadua no intin ye ahodo mienu yewo vein ene yewo arteries no ene de aduane mu nkwa hoden ene inflama ye home ekoma various cells no en moja de common so atiase eno nti se cholesterol bad cholesterol edoso ye moja ma ema ye moja no eda so atiase nti moja ne da na ama artery na ekita offense moja na ekono na ayedin ana se clot atimi ayeden abemu nti ebemu a moja na se ede aduane ni mu nkwa ho den ko various offense cells ana se organs no ana se tissues no nwa be ye affected ana se nwa be yare na intimi perform adwuma ese na ama no edienya ewo ho
na chese ye didie aha na ye didie necessary
sa
apart from the yebedie trans fats no ebedosun ewu mu no bribi wo ho a yenye ananso ye ema bad cholesterol no edoso e system mu ana
ai muze apart from edidie any nyam yedidie some certain health condition etimi ema yen cholesterol no so den ekosro ebi se diabetes or diabetes ebetimi ama cholesterol akosro ninti ama ne basa ne se one ema diabetes for no etimi ma omo yefe cholesterol your type yefe no very low density cholesterol so what you say any low high density cholesterol nti ema high density ne nanka eye ne eba fam na ma low one so den akofam nti ni nyina automatically ekofam na ama unya cholesterol se udi dijuma acd ana enu achi nso se nze yawo abusuan bi wo ha omunyi no na omu liver na ese produce cholesterol no nti ene ya genetic factor omunyi na omu liver na ese produce cholesterol no na ho den ekofem so what you say se abusuan no so omu ho ena nyema cholesterol esan ekoso bio no so ene se anase low that cholesterol na nyere san koso bio no so ne se ye liver na produce cholesterol no age factor what you say unyin yango bombo ye se ye nyina na ya ho den ekofem nti unyin no so na liver no so na ho den ekofem nti liver no so na be den e produce good cholesterol no nti ekofem na udidi nyina no na o bad cholesterol enso den ekosro
abusana wie yesia cholesterol no ene ne papa ne bonne na yetimi ade ho afri ne ho sebeya papa no asomfa so yebenya bonne no yebeyi afri ya kwan mu eno ana Dr. Mpom da kwanda roma wo ma ye nchekere no sede yɛbɛte ase doc sɛ deɛ anya papa no ebe blocky nipadua no baby a ahoma efa no esa ne asem no anaso
okay enye eho pese na ebe block on say cholesterol eya na ewo yen arteries ni mu na nia enye no edoso wo yen arteries ni mu a ema ye moja ne da eda wo yen arteries ni mu na moja no so na de various nutrients ne mframa oxygen ya homa nyina so ekoma transport koma yen cells no nti se edoso eni padua ni ma na a block the flow of oxygenated blood no to various cells no.
Okay. And nipadua na kwa de hi bi na cholesterol de ye bad no etai affect you.
Okay. Baby a cholesterol ta affect pa yen akoma. Heart.
Akoma na sizi adwuma ya na so wonkwa na sizi no.
Say medical ka say akoma na just like say eno na di moja pumping moja akoma various cells no. Ono so kita muscles, ono so kita ntini ana say kita ntini a eno so efidi akoma no. Yena aduane ya odi nso ebi ye mframa. Ebi ye aduane mu nkwa hoden. Eno so ntini mu nenam na eko. Nti cholesterol no ko block sa bia na eko akoma no ho na obo se wabenya heart attack ana se start no obo se wabenya pain in your chest awo mu ana okon mu nti na edidi susa no wabenya heart attack eno achi esan edi yen adwen enya ye frɛ bibi thrombolytic na biaya entini na edi moja eko adwen mu no clot etimi abam kwan na edi moja ne eko no na moja na kita aduane mu nkwa ho den ene mframa no entimi ankwa nkodu adwen ho nti ubehu na kwa benya stroke nti cholesterol dia ba kono no ha adwen no kwan a edi stroke beden ebebre adwen no
etimi ha akoma etimi ha adwen
etimi ha akoma etimi ha adwen eno achi nso esan ha yen kidney so what you say the kidney no eno so ekita cells bi a ema kidney ya adwuma ye frɛ no nephrons amonso omu depend on aduane mu nkwa ho den ene offense we ene oxygen ya nti sa cholesterol no ko block ho a ema nephrons no weak na oni mi say o nephrons so enso ana so filter efi bia ana se eyi efi bia ewo nipaduane mu no na ede na ma yen offense yen jonso toa na yen so ya jonso akwabontin na ekodum pempenso a eno no ye weak na fini nyina aba accumulate our system mu wa benya kidney failure.
Hey, enti ono cholesterol no ne body mu no obetimi abeha makoma obetimi abeha margin obetimi abeha me kidneys
sa
hey oni pa be ye den and a bad cholesterol no we dini sunkunim.
Very nice. Ana bad cholesterol ade a unse meka genetics and meka age be other factors o ha ibetimi a control no easy ibetimi atanase afibo akopum tama nyame ebe free ne di kan se oya otaye exercise ema good cholesterol no boostu ana ekanya yen liver no na ema etimi produce good cholesterol no ipa na ne yepa so ne se good cholesterol no ebedoso ewo umoja ni ma na bad cholesterol ni bi wo ma epamo bad cholesterol ni nyina ebedi unya no esan de omako liver ni mu so ati ase nti se we exercise libre o ta physical exercise libre a eboa ema yen good cholesterol ekosro nti anka me encourage say at least every day and I say in a week no ubetimi aye exercise be abe 2-3 hours.
Doc, no crane say enipa bebre ye ti kuro kesi mu den ma won. Ti say nkran traffic. Odi ba krobe kwa adwuma no ngotwe a. Wan frifie no nsia ne fa. Obenya asem. Opon no numu a. Obedi traffic so bi a don hwere mienu asa no akodusi. Obedu no na wa bre dada stress atiesim. Sabi nipadua ahoden ene ahoika akofom. Ode koya exercise ene se na kodwoto. Ye hu se nuanu me wo enkuro nketuam. Obasori akonafuom eno ka asem bi ni ho ena traffic bi mpo akwachew. Ka wo kromu dia so nte se ye hei. Ene ade enti onipa be ye den. Ana say ye the exercise to say 2-3 hours a week. Ebia ye nya. We decide say obeye ni nyina abomu dako ebia na nipa kro first service kwasiada upon non kro nondu. Na why na dwen say nti kwasiada me kogina treadmill so ana me call work for 3 hours ni nyina abomu once a week. Ebetimi aye effective. Ana ye be ni say.
Ana ewu say anya ye nyina na ebetimi anya etimi aye exercise. Na kofare by eye cholesterol no ana good bad cholesterol no ewo medical kan say ejina enuane a yedi no so ati ase say yedi mojanam bebre e my cholesterol ekosuro yedi sa cheese no mo ne cake no e my cholesterol ekosuro eno nti say sa ne ma no na yeye na ye benya high cholesterol na yentimi nya bre enye exercise ene aden na yenti saa niema no so wati ase eno nti yebeti saa niema na yedi ni nyina eso won na yedi ade a ebeboa yen na ma cholesterol enkosoro say one say yedi insumnam cholesterol or fat ebi say salmon a very good papa a control cholesterol salmon.
No, ne hu ne sesrade wu.
Very good. Srade na salmon ekita no. Ekita omega 3 fatty acid. Omega 3 fatty acid. Okay. Regulate offense cholesterol. Also pamo bad cholesterol e ma boost the production of good cholesterol. So what you say?
Eti aduane ne bi wo no ma obetimi adi a.
Sa?
Ebekwa akote bad cholesterol.
Sa na tie.
Okay.
Enti nanka saniema ye di ye ntimi nya kwan enko exercise ye gya eno di ne ba bawi insumnam tuna eno so eboayen tilapia eno so eboayen so atiase na abre ama cholesterol no so aiden akofem nti ya nya exercise kura mpo a be exercise ni hia ye nya mre say ye
nya bebre mpo a
nya bebre kura mpo a eno na eno so etimi abeboayen ana ne di hobi nso unse onipa oye kese nyina no oye kese no na ema the rate obetimi produce o good cholesterol no eso ete nti nanka pese ye be control yen kese ye no na aboa yen na ama nipadua na timi produce cholesterol ese ne fata
yi o ka kese yen obi kese ane bad cholesterol ewo ayonkofa na efi say ye hunu obi a ni weight ewo soro na so be ye cholesterol no na eye normal ye hu obi tia fia pretty joyce you see fia sa pencil enso nensa so obi behwe no na le cholesterol ewo soro enti obi size it determine the level of bad cholesterol na
say ye ka kese a na ye ka we over offense do ye man ye ka body mass index what you say ye ka kese mudru what you say na ye won pempen so bia o kese ni du a ebema wanya cholesterol so what you say na enya nipa kese nyina se na okan no enya nipa kese nyina na omo cholesterol so what you say na enso oya kese no the nipa dodo a omo ya kese omo cholesterol isuasen nipa omo ya mfiamfiam a omo cholesterol eno nti ana yeta ka se aya no wa control weight se ne be ya unya cholesterol
control weight se be ya unya cholesterol. Doc, ebia ya kekeka waka preventive ne kakra.
Yeah.
Enye obia na onye nyaye na preventive no aboa ne pi. Ye den ya manage cholesterol say obi ewo high cholesterol, bad cholesterol. Ewo ni nipadua odi nka ka say ye didie ne ye hwe and waka exercise. Apart from edidie ni exercise no bribi wo hostron ko a wose obi ye ede boama ne cholesterol no e ba fom me kai pa se obaako bi a meni eye ya na matua ne wei uniwe esa nipa ne ba ya se bia mi be koye ko chiri me niema apart from edidie ni exercise ede ani timi ye
unse dana cholesterol no ne ehu ne se mimi wo bia mi hu se mi wo bi e na wonso wo bia unhu se wo bi age se why test ansa na obi hu se cholesterol ekosoro anase cholesterol e wo fem anase eye wo nti nanka nia meka ne se ne be betimi abo ye ho ban afi cholesterol mu no onipa bia wadi 20 years ekono one check your cholesterol kra no every year bia de wo check anka eden eye e ba sa na se asha se eba omojemu a obetimi aso anontem se ne be ya enkonko brusu bebre na ebe ma akako di unya ansa na wehu because most of the time no aya na cholesterol no edi yenya kwa kodum pempeso bi di yenya ansa na yehu nti yakọ na ekoya efre test bi se bia lipid profile test eno koya ebe ma cholesterol, good cholesterol, bad cholesterol and other fats nyina na wehu se o at risk and I say o ni at risk na aboa eno achi na o kan se okwan ben so biu e na ibetimi aye na aboa yin na ama yen cholesterol ate eso ate on se o are under stress a onim se cholesterol so timi kosoro
minim nipa bebre a stress balance so asabre crown o you obese
so very nice on se e basa o body ne excretion hormones bi na wa be obese sa kese no na e de cholesterol ne ba no na a prevent nti yan try se abrini no ye be enya rest kakra ye jeja ye humu wa ayi niema bi afifi adwen mu se ne be ya o se cholesterol akwa hormones in nature wa enko ha ni pedua no na ye be ma adwene mu so adaho kama bibi ha nkrempo akotena bia nipa o kakra no release tension wo ya sa nyina na ni pedua no ede ne ho na ni pedua na akwa na ese eno ankasa eye ne dwuma no enya kwan aye ne dwuma no na aboaye
dogo ka say yen distressing agrofo bebre so in the attempt to distress so be stress no ekofa problems ne more te say obe kenten ho akọ ebi anipa mu kakra omo kakra wo mo nsem de obe take vacation obe kwa akotena pool side kakra anaso so seaside enye pool mbo seaside bi Ghana so kra de nyame adom beaches ye wo bi o kuma se Lake Bosom twinie baby abetimi akọ home enya mframa papa yem pollute no benye obi a na betimi obi an so yen distress mete me pressure no so na one boys bi a girls na ye kwatutu bie ebe wi ase na ensanom no so akwakoye asemfofo because e the bibi san ebeti ebia adwenjene ne so kakra but body no mo no ebe kwakolodi up bibi ewo ho etisa ade usu se distress no yemfemfa kwampa ben so yeni sika de be ko vacation no yemfemfa kwam ben so
oh say of late on say funny films be aba ohwe social media eta ho pa enti ubetimi download bi na o connect ma TV krempo a na ohwe ebetimi release you afi o stress na wo mu no emu ana se one nkola ofie otane mu ebo nkomo kakra nye se obepie akwa abonten kura na ana se obekọ bebi a nipa ku o kura na ebetimi ma release stress no ata mo bible bi na o kenkan krempo a eboa ema o stress no eden so etimi eden eti yisa sa akwa ni nyina no ebetimi aye ama aboy na meka san mi refi ade ba ko na meka mi ja nia ede bad cholesterol no cholesterol no smoking
na ye de kwa bene u se enu na ye heat nti ye de kwa bene ne ma o se
ana da bi o smoke no inaja fat no ma ye arteries no mu etiti ana afi nso esan bre senia ye liver no betimi produce good cholesterol no so ase nti usmoke dia o cholesterol betimi aiden akosoro ana se ebema the rate of at which be produce good cholesterol no ebe confirm na bad cholesterol no aiden akosoro
ye no cresa bad cholesterol no etimi ema condition to say diabetes how
okay when say your pancreas no is in connection with say only or produce your insulin na pancreas no so tissue organ ewo nipadua ni mu eno nso eyusu aduane monkwa ho den ne oxygen ya bi na ni nyina nso supply pancreas no through yen offense arteries mu inti se cholesterol be accumulate ewo ho ebe ma arteries no echo supply pancreas no harden inti na wanya enough oxygenated blood to perform its work na ama and also send a bit me security insulin no enti me anko security na nka aduane bi a obedi na nka insulin ba we gusu na be converting into energy no enti me anko ye na accumulate your bloodstream no nya diabetes
is also a sugar. It's okay, diabetes is sugar and a hypertension neighbor.
And also between the hypertension.
Na hypertension is also this stroke neighbor.
Sanity.
Many say cholesterol on a bufu.
And they are linked together. Cholesterol, diabetes, and hypertension. Omoye and your normal me and Sambia Motanampa. Into Unya we are one shall be Yawi. Unya we are one shall be Yawi. Now, one will say, Kwana, Oyede, Okono. But a boy who buy.
But what mean your cholesterol no enkonko drew to say diabetes ne hypertension level no it me kokko ka o brain no e ma unya stroke ne direct
obi o ha be hu say oni diabetes obi o be hu say oni we hypertension enso na wanya offense wanya stroke eno no obi hu say e ba sa o ba dwen ho onti ase agi say o ma na kotwa CT scan of the brain and I say MRI. And son of who said, yes, there was some clot in the cerebral artery. And I will say, we acquire the profile test and not cholesterol so air also.
I am no crosses a safe no abasuna yepuno. A boama yet to me at a bad cholesterol so can be swana.
Mantias,
yepunu. Say, covered by a see yepunu. I am no crosses, o bon who heater. A boama would to me a bene. Fat na fi say fifrito
on say cholesterol de yintimi burning out and this a fact no kran untimi burn any exercise and burning out exercise na me can say you know o exercise na eko kenya we liver no na produce offense we cholesterol no good cholesterol no na say bad cholesterol no wo mo jama untimi any exercise and fan burning out and no and burning out is a fact.
It's in different pie no ya na dia na
any cholesterol
and yes radie
yes any cholesterol
on say radie ne fast ne cholesterol yi o mo benyu ti e kan nyina abo
no eno ne emu sunsun no on say sunsun da fat ne cholesterol ntɛm ne sɛ fat wobɛtumi abɛne off what you say but cholesterol deɛ wontumi mɛne off and one of the difference ɛwɔ cholesterol ne fat
I was for any Dr. Mpom da could din commodity afa cholesterol ho na yenua baby ho akye ne mama me fe ntwam en yenua baby so for taxi free kwabenya e de kopoko ase e na ahomachin ne nboda nya ahomachi na ade achi 5:45 brenum na bro see ye no e na nani ban ho so se wogya ne purse e wo taxi no mo enka sika no kra de enheda nya ne problem se nkrata no na purse no mo no sika na we 270 Ghana Bank of Ghana ID card SNIT ID Voters ID NHIS card GOIL card ATM and Visa cards edia ewo sa eniema so no ebi eye Mavis Adoma Amwabe Mavis dia de sredi atu nyina yenim se opayen chew papa taxi driver ananso passenger bi a wofo car ne taxi irrespective of baby a wofo no so hunu purse bi purse no udi sika no kwa de bi a wo hunu ye na obi edi nkan hunu ebie mo yi sika ne ko etasi obi betumi afro car no obi a ohun na so fa obi a se sika o sika na mehia ID card me de ko eden na we yi sika no agya niema na aka no car no won kan driver class enie eti bia wo so ni akwa akoboso e mesika na wo mu na problem because obi ko hunu obetimi yi first second person bi kra betimi hunu yi agya card no agya personal card no but se wo wa hunu card person no ana so o ma so de be paniwura ID card bebre wom Bank of Ghana ID SNIT ID Voters ID NHIS GOIL ATM Visa card sahodo Ghana card edi wo so ne bi Mavis Adoma Amwabe Mavis e pa cho se wasrewo fa beja o piece of ha se ma no e ka wo be bode aba no obetua enya sa afre no 024 33 51 847 0244 33 51 847 wa beboa ama Mavis ehunu ne purse titu ne ID card bebrebe ni ATM ewo mu no obeda wase pa 0244 0243 35 1847 Madam wase nwame na aboafo asemra sesi yi eno achi ye beba abehwe ekwanfoforo a yetimi efa so ekele cholesterol no bad one no efi nipadiem
said you obetimi a check na farmer APC nsonti ene wa ye ne sa akoma
uti paiwa fakina farmer akoma APC
kaka hawa
akoma APC sisiare wa posunu no mpemu na ye oya fever ana wonam ya emu bia kina farmer akoma APC ebeye firi ho Nemum nanu achi na enkoy dia ko hu doctor kina farmer akoma APC eyema obia ya wadi emfiedunsia 16 years dekro
hey catch list ni nie enwoma betoto dia me baba no ho ade no hwem so betumi a ashew na obeka ya jontuma miensa duku potomanto this way chocolate drink na kan wo hwe afibia so beri ni waware ni a this way chocolate drink na kan sia ashew udan kwanu ntumu ho me be mo anu nso hye kura dia ka ho uhade e wapi ho ukasa batete eda fom ho
this way chocolate drink
kra cha be pe baba aware
ashew
ye fi say this way chocolate drink ya sorry anopa no ne yenom ye bi hye fridge nom no se snack ye nya hoho a no ne de serve wo mo ye didi wie ne ye pe bibia bogu ya de so a this way chocolate drink ne yenom and this way no ti anu a he se kire wom koko wom brick wom bibia wom ade wo hia ne so hye
this way chocolate drink
je wo hia ani so hye
FDA ahwehwe se adwede nkratoe mu agye atum se eye
Make Ain't one minute. Come on. Hallelujah. We worship you, Lord. Hallelujah. That's why we're sorry.
Medase pasa hana we fidie no da nyame admo chana no pa no nsia ne fa kosi no nwotwe ye be hia wo need fitie mu nkomo ne adi abrabo mu nkomo na wo twetwe mu no ye hwede na mema ne se amoma ni nka fie ema no nti wo mutu pia fa agyan etna bonten covid bre mu nyina wo nya ya nkom betena fie na so na mo se ma ne de chokrodo ne ntoma sisi omumu ema ne so be ka de etete wo mo emema yi e ba fie ediambo a chana no pa na no na ye ma ne de na mema na ni age nyambo etwa no pa no nsia mpa mu kokosi na nwotwe emma ne so beka de mema ne ye emma ne bi se emfa mpaboa nwura dem na de nwura dem eya hohoro wonsa na covid aba onti so dogo bi no abe ye beka ho asem nyambo etwa no pa medase etia no we hia me wo ho no why medase Doc, I think you share to say ye distressing. I would say you bet me I can kind books Bible, you bet me I should TV, you bet me I funny and near money be the at ye stress no. As so kakra. Senye ni na kra bet me aboa yen at so kakra. Say me wo cholesterol eye bad. Me here doctor.
Ai nana ya mekane se ohia doctor okra ne se medical kan se cholesterol se eba oso a unhu nti nanka mepese obi bia no be modern so obe check the cholesterol at least every year, once in every year na obi a ohune doctor ne nti so ohun doctor ne se cholesterol ekosra edi nipeduane nya pa na se o cholesterol ba femu e ma femu o obi na o kase o ye exercise ofie o distress o hu ana se o jai nyane bi di unhu esane se onye technical know how nti unhu se cholesterol no e kofem ana se baby e wono eye so what you say enti se oko international o ma ho self medication so a ira se okokonom edro na ma cholesterol na nka eye no so aiden atia kofem asensania ese no eno nti na nka be ye se o modia na we hu doctor ono na o nimdie efa mpempenso a cholesterol no woni peduani ma eye mawo ene mpempenso a edu nso a enye mawo eno nti eno no obekere wa kwankere ana se ti se oma unuro na wano munuro no na edu babia udu no so a wama wajai na watimi ade wo
minim se wo low bp a na ehu cholesterol so se wo ni low a ehu
na se me yakasa nyina me kan se cholesterol no eboa ema ye hormones no etimi balance
ane de okeka ye se matrofa e de kwa akoye mi nose
ye hormones etimi
balance hormones eboa ma ye lungs no enya oxygenated we no
eboa me yetimi produce
vitamin D ma ye strong bones and teeth kana me ye nose yesna me di agro ewa ha
enti se o cholesterol no e wo fam bebre ya you lack of those things
doc ye nim san kwada na unyini nwie etini bones no kra nyini nwie ye nyina po bonti ana e fi sa hwentumi
ye wanyi krampo no na o cholesterol no e wo fam no na o bones obi o ha bones onko ba bia no se o go twa ehrom se ni kidney ne hip papai so what you say ni bones no nya strong enya ahoden o lack vitamin D.
Vitamin D o you serious o first we have vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C.
Vitamin D no I dey control your calcium no any your phosphate no almost so na boy strong teeth and strong bones no so ati ase nso obi wa bo na onya weight kakra pe na nan no start e ben ne bisa ni nyina ye cholesterol ebetimi enye
ambalance
enye ni nyina no enye ni nyina be no so betimi e play role enso e den e wo mu so ati ase
enti so benya cholesterol a eye average e be suit your body no
yes enu nti ena se doctor anase ukohu obi a owonim de efa apomuden ho na aboawo because cholesterol no anya de awde wani hu no waka se we de wasu ahwese abafem age se why lab nyame ncha de se ukọ herbal clinics bibiri a omo lab e ho a omo betimi e de ahwese cholesterol na du mpempenso sei a ehia ema o.
Wow, interesting. Abra ye wie na futu be na ade be mo manfo de afa ye be manage ya pomodin titru ene cholesterol na ye nya pomodin pa.
Yo na na meka ne se no kra ye ntwen se yale ansa na pe eduru ho kwan. So what ya say? Na emum o prevent yale a eye sense obeyare. Ye nyina ehu se cholesterol no yeka cholesterol na yeka bad cholesterol. Na bad cholesterol yeka ho asemu nso. Inya wo mostly inya ne dodo na efi yen lifestyle emu. Yedi kan abobo lifestyle bi a ebetimi ama yen cholesterol bad cholesterol akosro. Se uyo bi a onta anya exercise. Se uyo bi a otari mojanam bebre. Utani nnuane bi a ense na mfata a bomodin na tiso ena afi nso uyo bi a otaye kese bebre nso a bomodin na reduce weight na aboawo se ne be ya enkofa cholesterol ne mba ebia na wankwanku hu na akwakoma heart attack nso de ba all of a sudden na mprekope na aba eba sebi ubetimi afrimu ufrimu nso a ne bia wodi bipa bi de boa oman Ghana na yentimi yensa entimi ankan fi ho oya sa na wadi Ghana funya nti ye besere se obi bia nhwe no nso ye eno achi no nso se o cholesterol ne bi nso a oba yanso ye nso a ibetimi aiden ama onru a ebeboa wo na eso ate
Awie yedasio
yenso yedasi
Abzafo ye ne Dr. Emmanuel Mpom Dakon woye herbal doctor KNUST herbal doctor Kwaise Christian Herbal Center ye tafren ayisa so hum na nkase ayisa e ho na ye kwakotwe ne fi awie se omra oyobia wa redare e wo cholesterol stroke and hypertension in sensemu enti ye pemwa ye mirakrase be ko na yakotwe no e de no ababedi enkomo ne de akaka ye ho asua bibia ebetimi aboaye ebia na wasem bi sabi ebese obisa me ma numbers abetimi afre no 0244 41 32 47 0244 41 32 47 and 0248 15 23 23 0248 15 23 23 numbers me no amede ama nyina obenya Dr. Emmanuel Mpom Dakon ono no ka say dem go ka be hu doctor na benya Dr. Isa e was 0244 413247 and 0248 152323 0248 152323 and 0244 413247 ewie wona de be fan chechire mu achire ebra ye ne empanifo ya efi local health Dr. George Haramis ye ne wie ye no one ye ba be hwe kidney stones ena Dr. Mpom Dakon aka Dr. Isa ene ye ba be hwe cholesterol me da say kila boboni odi an kan na eba ebuso hwe COVID-19 no onko krasa eti bomade na mask up why otumfo mpo ne dem bi esre se show mask ne ma no wo de anya hwe no hye ma otumfo medase na fa bo abusua ho ban Peter Square Pretty Joyce Michael Ejaria Salmane Arafat Akosia Sapon ene maame biama kwafo won na hihye adwumadie no maame me de me ba bedi ho chia me bidin nana ya Konadu Christ ama na hwe ansesa ochira no pa no nsia ne fa kosi no wotwe ye be hia wo Neat FM so yankopon hira wo medam wase